In assaying, we discovered that grades are actually much higher than the probes indicate. That's because of disequilibrium.
Yeah, that's 20% higher, right? Correct.
On average, 20% higher, but importantly, anything that's 500 ppm and higher, actually the grades are 50% higher than probe grades that are 500 ppm. Actually, when you assay, you get a confirmed grade that's 50% higher. So 750 ppm. 1,000 ppm probe grades get boosted 60% on average. This is important for mining.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Triangle Investor Interviews. I'm your host, Lucian Valkovic, and before I announce my guest, just a quick reminder of a disclaimer. This interview and all my interviews are not a recommendation to buy or sell any shares, products, or services. Always do your due diligence and consult with your financial advisor. My guest today is Thomas Lamb, CEO of Myriad Uranium, a guest that I always like to have in my show. Thomas, welcome back.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Thanks, Tom. Big news was out yesterday. Let's cover that. Additional chemical assays came from the Copper Mountain boreholes. Can you walk us through the key highlights from the release? That was 34 boreholes drilled at Canning deposits in late 2024. Tom, specifically, how do these new assays showing enhancements in uranium grades, extensions of 12 known mineralized intervals, and the discovery of 70 entirely new ones impact your confidence in the project and overall resource potential?
Well, it's a big boost. The project was going to be a large-scale mine starting in 1983. That's as of 1978, 1979. They had a cutoff grade of 100 ppm for their modeling. Now, that's quite a low grade, but still, because of the scale, and there were high prices back then, it was going to work. But there were lots of gaps back then. They used a very conservative approach. They used gamma probe, then they also used DFN, delayed fission neutron probe. But they did not assay the core, or very rarely did. What we have done is we have drilled, we have probed with a gamma probe. In doing so, we believe we did better than what they got historically back in the 1970s. So we've already, we think, surpassed what they did, which supported their mine plan. Now, I can't say that categorically because I'm not supposed to, regulatory, et cetera, 43-101. But that's how I feel, and that's what we think. But in assaying, we discovered that grades are actually much higher than the probes indicate. That's because of disequilibrium.
Yeah, that's 20% higher, right? Correct.
On average, 20% higher, but importantly, anything that's 500 ppm and higher, actually the grades are 50% higher than probe grades that are 500 ppm. Actually, when you assay, you get a confirmed grade that's 50% higher. So 750 ppm. 1,000 ppm probe grades get boosted 60% on average. This is important for mining because, especially if you design the mine to go after the higher grade material, well, it's 50, 60% higher than the probe indicated, and probably than the probe indicated back in the late 1970s. Okay. We decided to go back and assay material that was actually, a lot of it was quite low grade according to the probe. This is material, rock, that would probably not have been included in the 1970s in the plan, although I can't say that categorically either. Also, it's material that we probably would not have included in our grade shells and computing the amount of uranium contained inside those shells, etc. So we send a lot of material to the lab. It turns out that we were able to bring material that's, say, under 100 ppm up above that cutoff, and in some cases a lot higher than that. So this is material that could potentially pay when it's mined instead of being waste. Also, if an interval after being probed and then even after being assayed subsequently by us was this long, well, we've gone and we've assayed extensions to that existing interval, and we've extended a lot of them. So this is really transformative. Again, it has revealed a lot more thick intervals across many holes. So this, we're hoping, enhances continuity, tonnage, and these are not just isolated spikes. There are also, now we've revealed high-grade shoots within, broad halos. Maybe this helps add mineable widths, makes mining more flexible in the future. So also, where holes previously maybe only had one or two intervals, maybe that we've added in some cases more intervals to those holes. So that adds a lot to the deposit. In our case, Canning, which is the main deposit that we and the one that we drilled. And it also is very encouraging for the entire project area if the mineralization style holds across the project, which we know from historical data that it seems to. We've also
That is
confirmed a lot of
one thing
technical
I
things.
wanted to expand.
Yeah.
Sure. So this results reveal mineralization that gamma probes, just like you said, couldn't detect. How do you
Yeah.
see this influencing the, like you said, broader Copper Mountain district, especially as you ramp up under the recently approved plan of operations for 222 boreholes?
Well, it's exciting because we know what they had back in the 1970s and in 1982 when U.S. Department of Energy published its Bendix engineering report on the Copper Mountain. And what if, and we think it's likely, all of this holds across the project area. We're going to be able to go off and where historically there were equivalent, i.e. probe grades with, very nice intervals, but they were probe grades. Maybe we'll drill those same holes, twin them, or, close to, and we'll reveal so much more about that area. So I don't want to be too hyperbolic. I say that sometimes when I'm talking to people. I don't want to be too hyperbolic, but these intervals and these estimates, used to be Union Pacific estimated 65 million pounds plus. U.S. Department of Energy, the estimates we recently news released contained uranium 245 million pounds down to 600 feet in the central area. 655 million pounds contained uranium in a broader area. I'm supposed to say that's potential. A lot of this was probe data that they relied on. Maybe now that we're assaying things and we're getting big boosts, who knows what this means? Of course, we're excited about some of the deeper intercepts too. In the news release, we talk about a few bits of deeper mineralization that have also been enhanced. What if there's a lot of deeper mineralization? That's a whole new dimension and realm, and extremely exciting.
Right, Thomas. Let's touch a bit on the Bendix report. That was 1982, if I remember correctly, report for the U.S. Department of Energy, where
Yep.
they outlined the potential mineral endowment of 655 million pounds of uranium in a greater assessment area at Copper Mountain. Myriad and Rush currently control about 70% of the core control area. My question to you is, do you plan to pursue additional land acquisitions in this highly prospective district to increase your footprint?
I would say that's likely. I see that people ask that in these forums and on Twitter and all that sort of thing. And of course, people just have to wait and see how this is going to develop in terms of our land position. But
Okay, one of the questions from my
the thing
follower was,
is we have
what
we have not
opportunities
just
or
the Bendix
challenges do
report,
you
but we
see
have
in
all of our.
achieving that level of consolidation?
Actually, uh, it's mostly opportunities because we have the Bendix report, but we have a lot of other data, which is the guide you need. We have the proprietary data that allows us to choose where to go, want to make and what to acquire. So we think it's all opportunity for us. We think there's a barrier to others coming in. Also, not sure how they would pick the very best areas. So I want to make one point, which is Union Pacific, and in fact, a lot of people exploring back in the 1970s and before, they focused on easy to access areas of all their projects because they could. But with new technology, road building, fact that actually a lot of the areas are not that much more difficult to access. There are all sorts of areas at Copper Mountain that were just maybe a little harder to access. You have to bulldoze a road to these new areas. We know what those areas are, where we want to go, and we're going to be able to access them easily. And they're going to be new dimensions to this project too. So that relates to what land we acquire. Stay tuned. There's more to come regarding land.
Sure. Tom, did your recent boreholes show any indicators of unconformity related uranium mineralization, which is often high grade in sandstone hosted systems like in Wyoming? If so, how might that influence targeting the next phase?
I would say that we don't have enough information for me to be able to make a statement about unconformity, but optimism is a little higher than it was. And we were already a bit optimistic. So let's see. I will mention that our historical data have revealed that, for example, at Arrowhead, right in the center of our project area, there were grades up to 1.49%. And, that is coming from somewhere. So let's wait and see what we end up being able to reveal over the coming year, for example. So, and now that's near surface, so that's different than the deeper mineralization that we'd be looking for with the unconformity. But there is a potential connection. So, anyway, I can't comment on it
Understood.
beyond that
Okay.
at the moment.
Yeah, okay, no worries. Tom, let's touch on the plans for the next drilling program at Copper Mountain. You have approval, you got the approval, you can do up to 222 boreholes across the Copper Mountain project area. Are the plans finalized? If so, what are the key targets, timeline, budget, and how will they build on these latest assay results?
So we have a focused area of, call it 12 to 25 holes. That would be the low case, that meaning minimal spend. And that will target some very exciting areas that we know from historical data that known mineralization, exciting potential, hopefully exciting intercepts. Then there are a few areas where we want to go test some ideas, and then also drill some of the known deposits. It's kind of a mix. Now, if the market is rewarding and the budget is there for bigger spending, then we have you call it a medium case, 30 to 50 holes. And we have a lot more ideas that we can test and also get into setting ourselves up for, resource potential. And then there's the high case. As soon as uranium really starts to run, get hot and money is available, and you also get a big return on drilling, then we have a lot more we can do also. So that's kind of how it will work.
Got it. Tom, can you give me an update on the merger with Rush Rare Metals? It was in the press release, a few specifics about the merger. Can you give me an update, please?
And I want to apologize for everybody for not commenting at the 60-day LOI, the end of the 60 days that we announced. Our friends at Rush were just in the middle of their procedures with their independent experts, and I think they got held up on a couple things. And in fact, I was just engaging with them this morning on a chat, and they're let's see, we're going to be talking to them again very soon, and we have some fine tuning to do. So things are proceeding, but we don't have a signed definitive agreement yet. So I think legally I'm supposed to say there's no certainty, but things are looking good.
Okay. Tom, let's talk a bit about the Red Basin project. Can you provide an update on the current status of the project? Any recent developments or activities over there?
We have ground geophysics underway right now. It's tight-spaced, 50-meter space ground geophysics. And we're also preparing a new plan of operations for Red Basin, which we're very excited about. I think that's going to be an ambitious and very interesting. That's a large-scale drill permit for those that don't know my plan of operations. So a lot going on at Red Basin also. And I'll just remind everybody, Red Basin is estimated to have up to 45 million pounds. No, we have part of that, and we have almost all the historic boreholes in the basin, which we think is maybe a proxy for uranium mineralization in the basin. Up to 45 million pounds. It's fairly near surface, although some of it goes a fair amount deeper. It's sandstone, roll front, reported grades, and here I'm getting into insert all the 43101 disclaimers, but 0.17% to 0.31%. There are reports that we have indicated pounds on our areas, on our acreage of 500,000 pounds indicated, and maybe up to 6 million pounds inferred. However, these aren't 43101 current under 43101, and we don't necessarily put them out in our documentation because of 43101 requirements. However, there are historic documents that indicate that.
Sure.
So that's how Red Basin is looking. I'm sure we're going to be very active there. It was a fantastic acquisition for us. We're really happy to have it as a second project.
Yeah, help me explain a bit. What are your immediate exploration plans for Red Basin? Are there specific targets or geological features you are prioritizing for initial work? And do you have maybe a timeline for, let's say, geophysical surveys, sampling, or drilling to test the uranium potential you mentioned here?
We should have geophysics results within the next 2 months, although I'm not sure, and maybe even sooner. Not sure when we'll report them exactly because they have to be interpreted. So there's that. We have Christmas coming up, but we're going to get very high quality geophysics. Next, we have hundreds and hundreds of historic boreholes on our project area. it could be up to 1,000. We have located 500 or 600 of them. We know exactly where the pipe is. We may do some very interesting things in relation to those historic boreholes, especially in some of the areas. People should stay tuned to see what it is we do. We're going to see what we can do. In some cases, we may not have to re-drill. We might be able to go back into those holes. So that would be fantastic if we can do that.